Close your eyes for a moment. Can you truly imagine a world before time? No ticking clocks, no sun to rise or set, no yesterday, no tomorrow, only a vast, endless stillness. And yet, if time did not exist, could there even be a before? The thought feels like standing at the edge of a deep ocean, staring into waters you cannot see through. Every story we tell, every step we take, happens inside time. But what happens when we try to step outside it? This is where our journey begins. From the moment we are born, time walks beside us. It shapes our days, measures our lives, and silently counts the distance between our first breath and our last. It is in the beating of our hearts, in the turning of the earth, in the fading of a candle's flame. We may forget it is there, but it never lets go. Like a shadow, time follows us everywhere. But shadows need light. And so we must ask, if time is our shadow, what is the light that creates it? Long before science, people tried to explain the beginning of everything with stories. Some told of gods who shaped time from chaos. Others imagined giant animals carrying the sun across the sky. In every corner of the world, humans asked the same question. When did time begin? These ancient voices still echo in our hearts. They remind us that curiosity is older than any clock. If you too are curious about these stories and the truths they might hold, stay with me and subscribe so we can walk through them together. So tonight, we will walk together, past the clocks and calendars, past the borders between history and myth. We will follow the trail from the first human stories to the edge of modern science. And when we arrive there, perhaps we will see not only when time began, but why it began at all. Shall we take the first step? Before numbers, before writing, there was the sun. Our earliest ancestors lifted their faces to its light each morning, feeling warmth return to a cold world. They noticed that the sun rose in the east, moved slowly across the sky, and sank in the west. This daily rhythm became the first heartbeat of time. Each dawn was a promise that the world still turned. Each sunset whispered that the day's chapter was closing. In caves, around fires, they spoke of the sun's path as a journey, one that would repeat tomorrow and the day after, forever. Time was not yet something measured in minutes. It was felt in the shadows stretching and shrinking, in the golden light sliding across the ground. As people began to wander less and settle more, they saw another clock above them, the moon. Its round face grew full, then vanished into darkness again and again. Farmers learned to plant by its phases. Fishers timed their trips with the tides it pulled. Over the months, the world itself seemed to change clothes. Blossoms opening, heat returning, leaves falling, frost forming. These repeating patterns became seasons, and seasons became another layer of time. The moon and the sun danced together, shaping human survival. And slowly, people began to count, not just days, but cycles. They were beginning to name time. Some ancient people began building monuments, not for shelter, but for the sky. Huge stones, shaped and placed with care, stood in circles or lines. On certain days, the sun's light would pierce perfectly through an opening, or cast a shadow in a precise direction. These were more than stones. They were tools for remembering, for knowing when to sow crops, when to gather, when to honor the gods. A stone could outlive 100 generations, holding the memory of the sky's movements. And so, the first calendars were carved into the earth itself. If you are fascinated by how humans once bent stone to follow the heavens, stay with me, and like this video, so we can journey deeper together. For many ancient peoples, time was not just a thing, it was alive. In Egypt, the god Ra carried the sun across the sky each day, beginning time anew with each dawn. In Greece, Kronos was the very embodiment of time, endlessly turning its wheel. In other cultures, time was born from chaos, shaped by divine hands into days, nights, and seasons. These stories were not simply myths. They were ways of making sense of the unseen. By giving time a face and a name, humans could speak to it, honor it, and perhaps, in some way, influence it. Time was not cold or mechanical. It was sacred, breathing in the rhythm of the universe. Some cultures saw time not as a line, but as a circle. In their view, nothing truly began, and nothing truly ended. Everything returned. The seasons were proof. The moon would always wax and wane. Day would always follow night. Life would always give way to death, and death to life. In Mesoamerica, the Maya told of worlds that had been created and destroyed many times before the one we live in now. In India, the concept of the yugas described vast cycles, each with its own age, destiny, and end. These beliefs comforted people. If time was a circle, then endings were not final. They were simply the start of something familiar. As human thought grew more complex, so did the ways we imagined time. Some counted time in ages of the world, each one marked by great events, heroes, or disasters. The Greeks spoke of the Golden Age, when life was easy and pure, followed by the Silver, Bronze, and Iron Ages, each more difficult than the last. Others marked ages by floods, by the rise and fall of empires, by the appearance of certain stars in the sky. These grand divisions gave meaning to history, turning the chaos of years into a story with chapters. If you want to keep walking through the chapters of time itself, leave a comment. What age would you most like to see with your own eyes? Numbers were more than tools for counting. They were bridges to the divine. Ancient people believed certain numbers carried cosmic meaning. The Egyptians revered 12, the number of months in the year. The Babylonians built their mathematics on 60, giving us 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. To them, numbers were not inventions, but discoveries, truths woven into the fabric of the universe. By measuring time with sacred numbers, they believed they were aligning themselves with the will of the gods. If you find beauty in the way numbers can touch both the human mind and the heavens, tap that like button, and let's keep exploring the shapes of time together. As civilizations grew, empires rose that demanded order, not just in laws and armies, but in days and years. In Egypt, shadow clocks and water clocks marked hours for farmers and priests. In Babylon, astronomers charted the heavens to refine their calendars. In the Mayan world, timekeeping was so precise that their predictions of eclipses amazed modern scientists. The calendar was more than a record. It was a symbol of power. To control time was to control when people planted, prayed, celebrated, and worked. In the hands of rulers, time became both a gift and a chain. Time was not only for counting, it was for celebrating. Ancient societies marked the passing of seasons with festivals, dances, and offerings to the gods. The spring equinox might bring a feast of planting, while the winter solstice became a night of fire and story. These gatherings tied people to the rhythm of the earth and to each other. They were living reminders that time is not just numbers or cycles. It is the pulse of community life. In the flicker of firelight, surrounded by song, people felt part of something larger, as though time itself had joined the celebration. The invention of writing allowed humans to capture time in a new way, not only by observing the sky, but by recording its patterns. Clay tablets, papyrus scrolls, and carved stones began to hold the knowledge of years, months, and days. Farmers no longer had to remember every season. It could be written down for future generations. With each stroke of ink or chisel, the flow of time became something fixed, something that could be passed along like a treasure. These written clocks did not tick or chime, but they endured for centuries, silently telling the story of when to plant, when to harvest, and when to worship. In many ancient civilizations, the authority to keep and declare time rested in the hands of the powerful. Priests announced holy days. Kings proclaimed new years. The timing of festivals, harvests, and even battles could be shifted by decree. Control over time was control over life itself. By setting the calendar, leaders shaped the rhythm of their people's days. To challenge their time was to challenge their rule. And so, time became not only a measure of the universe, it became a weapon and a throne. Those who mastered it could bend the lives of thousands without lifting a sword. As the centuries passed, the ancients' ways of telling time evolved, but so did the questions they asked. They had marked the sun's path, traced the moon's phases, counted the years, and built calendars that reached far into the future. Yet one question remained. whispered in temples and marketplaces alike. What is time itself? Is it a circle, a line, or something else entirely? Their stones still stand, their records remain, but the mystery lingers, waiting for new voices to answer. And so, we step now from the monuments of the ancients into the minds of the philosophers who dared to redefine the hour. When the philosophers of ancient Greece began to think about time, they stepped away from the monuments and calendars of the ancients. They asked, what is time itself? Aristotle saw time as a measure of change, the before and the after that mark motion. Without change, he argued, time would not exist. This was a shift from time as something ruled by gods to something woven into the fabric of nature. In this view, a falling leaf, a rippling wave, or a fading shadow were not just events, they were the clock itself. Time was not separate from life. It was life unfolding. And in asking these questions, the philosophers opened a door that is still open today. Other thinkers began to wonder if time itself was an illusion. If the past no longer exists, and the future has not yet arrived, then perhaps only the present is real. The ancient philosopher Parmenides claimed that change was impossible, and therefore time was an illusion of the senses. Centuries later, this idea still echoes in debates among scientists and philosophers alike. Could it be that our feeling of time flowing is just the way our minds arrange events? If so, the river of time might not be a river at all, just a collection of still moments strung together by memory. Many tried to picture time in ways the mind could hold. Some said it was like a river, always moving forward. Others saw it as a string of pearls, each pearl a single moment. In China, some philosophers described it as the endless turning of the Tao, without beginning or end. These metaphors shaped how people lived, whether they saw life as a journey to be sailed along, or a set of moments to be treasured one by one. If one of these ways of seeing time speaks to you, leave a comment and tell me, which is closer to your truth, the flowing river or the single shining pearl? Philosophers across the world saw time in two main shapes, a straight line and a perfect circle. In the West, the linear view grew strong. Time had a beginning, moved in one direction, and would someday end. This way of thinking shaped histories, religions, and even politics. In contrast, in many Eastern traditions, time was cyclical, endlessly repeating. Lives, worlds, and even universes would rise, fade, and return again. Each view offered its own comfort. The line promised progress and purpose, the circle promised renewal and eternity. Yet both were only models, human attempts to grasp something that might be beyond shape entirely. As the Middle Ages ended and the early modern era began, a new vision of time emerged. Inspired by the precision of mechanical clocks, thinkers imagined the universe itself as a vast clockwork, set in motion by a divine hand and left to run on its own. Every star, planet, and living being was part of this grand mechanism. In this view, time was fixed, predictable, and absolute. To understand it was to understand the gears of reality itself. This vision gave humanity confidence, but it also removed some of the mystery, replacing wonder with calculation. Still, even the most perfect clock needs a maker. In many traditions, time was not just a physical measurement. It was tied to the soul. Religious thinkers debated whether the soul lived outside of time or moved through it like the body. Some imagined eternity as endless moments in the presence of the divine. Others saw it as freedom from moments altogether, a timeless state of being. These ideas shaped how people prayed, mourned, and hoped. They gave meaning to the hours of life by linking them to something infinite. If you've ever wondered whether your own moments are part of a much greater eternity, share your thoughts in the comments. Your view might change someone's way of seeing time. Could time stretch forever, or is it destined to stop? Some philosophers imagined infinity, a road without end, where every moment leads to another. Others believed time was finite, with a first moment and a final one waiting far ahead. These debates were not just about the universe. They shaped how people lived. If time is endless, then every choice echoes forever. If it will end, then each moment becomes more precious. Both visions carry weight. Both change the way we see the hours passing. If you have ever felt torn between these two visions, drop a comment. Do you believe time has an edge, or does it go on without end? When Galileo began studying motion, he used a swinging lamp in a cathedral to measure how things move. From there, the idea of seconds and minutes became sharper, more exact. Then came Newton, who imagined time as an invisible river flowing at the same speed everywhere, unaffected by anything else. This absolute time became the foundation for centuries of science. Now, time was not a god or a story. It was a measurable, dependable backdrop for all events. And yet, even as science advanced, the question lingered. Was this the whole truth, or just another model for something deeper? With Newton's vision came machines that could track time with astonishing accuracy. Mechanical clocks improved, calendars were refined, and navigation across oceans became possible. Empires could now coordinate armies, trade, and exploration down to the hour. But this precision also changed daily life. Bells rang to start work, clocks dictated meals, and the heartbeat of nature was replaced by the tick of gears. People began to live not by the sun and seasons, but by schedules. This new world of timekeeping would soon face a challenge from an idea that bent time itself. Time is not just a measure, it is a tool of control. Kings, emperors, and governments set calendars, declared festivals, and decided when work should begin and end. Whoever commanded the clock often commanded the people. From ringing church bells to the factory whistle, time shaped obedience and order. Even today, our schedules are tied to systems we did not design. The power over time is the power over life. If this idea intrigues you, consider subscribing. Our journey through the secrets of time is far from over. In dreams, time behaves strangely. Minutes can feel like hours, and entire lifetimes can pass before waking. Ancient philosophers saw dreams as proof that time is not fixed, but flexible. Some believed dreams were glimpses into other realities, where the clock ticks differently, or not at all. Modern science shows that our brains measure dream time differently than waking time, creating illusions that bend our sense of duration. The mystery remains. If time can feel different in dreams, could it also be different elsewhere in the universe? By the late 19th century, time felt settled. Clocks ticked in harmony, schedules ruled life, and science spoke of time as steady and absolute. But cracks began to appear. New experiments hinted that time might not be the same for everyone. Observations of light, motion, and space began to question Newton's certainty. The stage was set for a revolution that would change our very understanding of reality and bend time in ways no one had imagined. At the dawn of the 20th century, a young clerk in a patent office stared at trains and clocks with new questions. Albert Einstein imagined what it would be like to ride a beam of light, to see time itself slow or race depending on speed. His theory of special relativity shattered the old certainty. Time was no longer absolute. It could stretch, shrink, and bend depending on how fast you moved. Suddenly, the clock on your wall was not the same as the clock on a speeding train. And yet, despite the strange math, the universe still held together in harmony. This was just the beginning. Relativity taught us that the faster you go, the slower your time runs compared to someone standing still. This isn't science fiction. It's measurable. Astronauts in space age just a tiny bit slower than people on Earth. Jet pilots and satellites live by clocks that tick differently because of their speed. Even a race car experiences time ever so slightly stretched. It's a truth that makes the universe stranger and more connected than we once believed. And in knowing this, we realize time is not a universal river. It is a patchwork of streams, each flowing at its own pace. Relativity also revealed that gravity itself shapes time. Near a massive object, a planet, a star, or a black hole, time slows down. Not because the clock is broken, but because space and time are woven together. A clock at the bottom of a mountain ticks slower than one at the top. This is why GPS satellites need adjustments to stay accurate. They live in weaker gravity, so their time moves faster. It's as if the universe breathes differently depending on where you stand. If the thought of standing near a black hole's edge stirs your imagination, like this video, it helps us keep exploring the vast mysteries of time. Imagine two twins. One boards a spaceship and travels close to the speed of light, while the other stays on Earth. When the traveling twin returns, they are younger than the one who stayed behind. This isn't a story. It's a prediction of relativity, tested in experiments with atomic clocks. Time dilation makes the traveling twin's life pass more slowly. For those who dream of interstellar travel, this means journeys that could feel shorter for the travelers, but decades or centuries could pass for those back home. It is a reminder that time is not the same for everyone, and the universe keeps its own strange fairness. The stronger the gravity, the slower the time. Around neutron stars and black holes, minutes outside can mean centuries inside. Light itself struggles to escape, stretching into deep reds as it climbs away. Astronomers call this gravitational time dilation. It turns these cosmic giants into strange wells where both space and time are warped. If a person could circle a black hole and return, they might find the universe centuries older than they remembered. These objects are not just dangerous, they are natural laboratories, bending the very fabric of reality. Einstein's equations told us that space and time were not separate. They were one fabric, curved by mass and energy. A heavy planet dips the fabric. A star dents it deeper. A black hole tears it. We live and move across this invisible map every day. Without realizing it, we surf the curves made by Earth's mass, the sun's pull, and the galaxy's gravity. This is why your GPS can guide you, because we have learned to measure time where it bends. If this vision of an invisible map beneath our feet inspires you, share this video with someone who loves mysteries as much as you do. Not all time experiments happen in space. Deep underground, in places where temperature and pressure barely change, clocks tick with an eerie steadiness. Scientists use these environments to measure the smallest differences in time. Proof that even a few meters of altitude can make clocks disagree. This means that in a tall building, your head literally ages faster than your feet, though by less than a billionth of a second each year. It's a humbling reminder. Time's flow is shaped not just by cosmic forces, but by the ground beneath you. When we look at the universe on the largest scales, we find patterns. Galaxies drifting, stars forming, planets orbiting. These motions can act like cosmic clocks, marking the passage of billions of years. Yet, even these immense rhythms are subject to relativity. As galaxies move apart, the very fabric of space stretches, and with it, time itself changes pace. This means that the universe's clock is not steady. It is evolving, just like the cosmos it measures. In the grand machinery of space and time, we are tiny, yet we are also its storytellers. We create calendars, measure seconds, and try to understand the deep rules of the universe. Each heartbeat, each breath is a personal clock, ticking in a way no machine can match. Whether we live by the rising sun or by atomic precision, we carry time within us. If these stories of time stir something in you, leave a comment. What is the earliest moment you can remember? In the strangest corners of physics, there are ideas about time at the boundary of the universe itself. If you could stand at the very edge of space, where the cosmic background fades into nothing, what would time mean there? Some theories suggest it might lose all meaning, like a clock with no hands. In such a place, there would be no past or future, only an eternal present. And perhaps, in the grand arc of existence, this is where time began, and where it will end. While science fiction fills our minds with visions of machines that jump between centuries, real physics treats time travel more carefully. Certain solutions to Einstein's equations allow for closed time loops, paths that could, in theory, bring you back to your starting point in both space and time. Yet every attempt to make such loops faces paradoxes. The question of whether changing the past is possible, or if the universe somehow prevents it. These ideas keep physicists awake at night, chasing equations that may never yield a working time machine. We began with Einstein's insight and followed it into black holes, cosmic clocks, and even the edge of the universe. Yet science is never content with answers alone. It always asks, what's next? Our next journey will step beyond relativity and into the quantum realm, where particles dance and time may not be smooth at all. What happens when you try to measure time smaller than a single heartbeat of a photon? The answers may take us to the very first flicker of the cosmos. In the quantum world, time is not smooth. It ticks in uncertain beats, tied to the strange behavior of particles. The smallest possible clock might be made from a single atom. Its energy changes marking each moment. Yet even these clocks are ruled by probability. They do not give the same answer every time. This uncertainty is not a flaw. It is part of the fabric of reality, a reminder that at the smallest scales, time is less like a ruler and more like a shimmering wave. Some interpretations of quantum physics suggest that the order of events may not be fixed. In certain experiments, it is impossible to say which event happened first. They appear to occur in both orders at once. This indefinite causal order challenges our most basic intuition about time flowing like a river. Instead, at the quantum level, it might behave like an ocean, currents flowing in many directions, with no single before or after. Physicists have tried to define the shortest possible time, the Planck time, about 10 to the power of minus 43 seconds. It is so brief that light itself barely moves across a single particle during it. Beyond this scale, our current theories cannot describe what happens. It is the pixel of time, the indivisible frame of the universe's film. If the idea of a smallest possible moment excites your imagination, tap the like button. It's a way of telling us to keep exploring the hidden edges of reality. When two particles are entangled, their states remain linked no matter how far apart they are. Change one, and the other responds instantly, even across galaxies. This strange connection seems to ignore the usual flow of time, acting as if the particles share a single now. Some physicists wonder if entanglement hints at a deeper layer of reality, one where time is not a river, but a single, endless ocean, and distance is only an illusion. Some theories imagine that the universe is not continuous but made of discrete frames of reality, like the frames of a film. Each frame is separated by the tiniest possible gap, and our sense of time comes from moving through them in sequence. If true, it means time is not a smooth flow but a flicker, so fast we cannot perceive it. The universe might be running on a hidden clock, ticking away in silence since the very beginning. At the smallest scales of the quantum realm, some theories suggest that time may not exist at all. Instead of being a fundamental part of the universe, it could be something that emerges only when enough matter and energy interact. In other words, without change, without motion, there is no time, just a silent, timeless void. And if that is true, then our next question must be, how did time itself emerge from nothing? Imagine the very first instant after the Big Bang. Not a burst in space, but a burst of space and time itself. Before this, there was no before. Time began as the universe expanded from an unimaginably small, dense point. In that first fraction of a second, space stretched faster than light, carrying time along with it. The cosmic clock started ticking, and with every heartbeat of the universe, galaxies, stars, and worlds became possible. Physicists talk about the arrow of time, the reason we remember the past but not the future. It points in one direction because of entropy, the natural tendency for order to turn into disorder. A broken cup does not reassemble, and heat flows from hot to cold. Every moment we live is carried forward by this invisible arrow. If you find the idea of time's arrow fascinating, consider subscribing, so we can keep traveling together along its endless path. While the arrow of time seems to move forward forever, some theories suggest the universe may run in cycles, expanding, collapsing, and being reborn. In such a cosmic rhythm, time might reset, erasing all memory of what came before. If that is true, the story of time is not a line, but a circle. And if the circle is real, the next step is to ask, could we already be living in one of its countless repetitions? Some theories suggest time travel could be possible, at least in theory, through loops in space-time. In such loops, an event could be both the cause and the effect of itself. These paradoxes, like the grandfather paradox, challenge our understanding of cause and effect. Could the universe allow such strange loops, or would they be prevented by laws we do not yet understand? If your mind enjoys these mind-bending possibilities, leave a comment below. What would you do if you could step into a time loop? One day, far in the future, the universe may reach heat death, a state where all energy is evenly spread and no change is possible. Without change, time loses its meaning. The cosmic clock would stop, not with a bang, but with infinite stillness. It is a haunting thought, the universe ending not in fire, but in perfect silence. Even with all our science, the true nature of time remains a mystery. Is it a fundamental part of the cosmos, or just an illusion born from change? Our next journey will step beyond physics, into the realm of philosophy and human thought, to see how minds across history have wrestled with the question, what is time? From the first storytellers around fire to modern scientists in vast observatories, humanity has never stopped asking, what is time? It touches every moment of our lives, yet slips through our fingers when we try to hold it. We measure it, name it, divide it into hours and years. But do we truly understand it? If this journey through the nature of time has sparked your imagination, consider subscribing. Each story we share is another step into the mysteries of our world and beyond. From the birth of the universe to the dreams of ancient minds, there are countless paths yet to walk together. No matter how vast the cosmos is, our experience of time is personal. The laughter of a friend, the warmth of sunlight, the quiet of midnight. These moments are the threads from which we weave our own stories. And, in the end, maybe time is simply the memory of love, light, and life. If this story stayed with you, even for a moment, leave a like and come walk with me again. In the dark, in the hush, in the stories that still breathe. Sleep well, and may your thoughts drift gently, like dust in the glow of a lantern, through the quiet corridors of time.